Could we have a stand for a Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll have Christy read the posting.
In the name of the Lunenburg Water District of Lunenburg, Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the voters of the Lunenburg Water District to meet in the Lunenburg Water District offices at 496 Mass Ave in Lunenburg on Wednesday, the 19th day of October at 6 p.m., then and there to act on the following article.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody that Dan and Kayla over here are recording for public access, so smile when you come up. You have to come to the mic, please, up here so that we can record for them. Just state your name and address, please. Article 1 is before us, Mr. Bursch.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the district vote to appropriate the sum of $360,000 from the water system enhancement account to hire Ty and Bond, the district's engineer consultants, to design, coordinate a pilot study to determine the method of treatment options available to remove iron, manganese, and polyfluoroalkali substance, PFAS, from the Hickory Hills well.
Is that seconded?
I second that.
Thank you. Mr. Bursch?
So essentially, this article will allow us to engage the services of Ty and Bond to study and remove iron, manganese, and PFAS, the contaminants that are currently in the Hickory Hills well. As a part of this study, we're going to engage the services of a hydrogeologist to also study any impacts to the surrounding area around the lake, study lake levels, and determine impacts, if any, and how we can work with those. We've had multiple public hearings on this. Obviously, the area of concern for a lot of people is the fact that it's the lake. We met with 2 members of the Hickory Hills Board of Directors multiple times. Had really good conversations back and forth. Got email from the president, I believe, of the board of directors. They voted to approve moving forward with this study. As long as we are looking at lake effects, size and location of the facilities, which would be part of the study. And we will continue to work with them closely as we move forward with this, should this pass tonight. We also went to the Board of Selectmen with representatives from Ty and Bond, gave a presentation, and the board voted to endorse the study unanimously.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
I'll open it for discussion. Please keep your questions and comments right specific to the article, please. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joan Pease, and I live at 11 Winter Green Court in Lunenburg. I have some things that I hope you will consider before casting your vote tonight. 1, the Hickory Hills Landowners Board of Directors has voted to support this initiative, not because they support recommissioning this well, but because, in the words of Hickory Hills Landowners President John Fortune, and I'm quoting him here, the reason is simple. If the vote passes, the BOD feels it is in their best interest to have input into the study and to see the completed results of the study when it is concluded. end quote. But we are not here tonight to vote on whether the Water Department will work with and include stakeholders, such as the Hickory Hills Landowners BOD, in the process. It would be reasonable and fair to expect our elected officials of the Water District to consult with and discuss possible problems with all interested stakeholders, whether those stakeholders supported this initiative initially or not. In addition, the final report will be a public document available to anyone who would like to see it. Again, no matter whether you support this initiative or not, you will have access via the Freedom of Information Act to the final document. 2, several people have told me that they are thinking of supporting this initiative simply because they believe the report will state that the well is unfit to serve as a source of drinking water, and that will put an end to this ongoing debate. These same individuals say that if the report provides the Water District with a green light, instead of saying the well is unfit, they will then step up to the plate and vote no on all future votes on this initiative. Why throw money, whether it is in the form of Water District funds or grants, and of course grants come from taxpayer money, at an issue you have no intention of supporting in the long run? The fiscally responsible thing to do here, if you are not going to vote for reopening of this well, is to not vote for it now, so the monies can be put towards other good use. Point number 3. Please remember that PFAS are not the only problematic substance in this well. The water in this well also contains unacceptable high levels of iron and manganese. This means multiple treatment processes and their associated infrastructures would be required before the water meets present-day drinking water standards. A similar initiative was voted down by the Water District users at a town meeting earlier this year. And when that was voted down, we did not even know that PFAS were in this water. By approving this initiative, we'll be throwing again bad money after good. In addition to multiple contaminants, other issues exist for this well. The well is located on an easement in a densely populated residential community on property abutting the 1 foot from the shoreline that Hickory Hills Landowners Incorporated owns. As shareholders, do we want a treatment plant as a waterfront facility on a lake? Will this negatively affect property values? Will this affect the wildlife in the area? If indeed it's going to be on a remote location, will this add extraordinary funds needed to pump the water to and from a remote location? Tonight's meeting is about whether or not the Water District should go forward with an engineering study to provide information on treatment of water in the Hickory Hills well. This is the first step in preparing to design and then construct the treatment facility that would allow the Hickory Hills well to come back online. If you are in favor of doing this, you should vote yes tonight. If you are not in favor of reopening this well, you should vote no tonight. Alternative solutions do exist for developing a backup water supply. In fact, that may be necessary if this report passes, if this article passes and an engineering report happens. There's no guarantee that that won't happen anyway, that this water will be found unfit. These funds that are being directed at this could be directed at finding a new, non-contaminated well. PFAS are forever chemicals. Or possibly another alternative solution would be to direct these funds towards purchasing water from a neighboring town if backup water becomes necessary. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator. I can speak to a few points. They were all very good points you brought up. The good money point, unfortunately, not treating this well, then we're not talking about $360,000. We're talking about probably millions of dollars in either finding a new supply or creating a new well. We're talking about multiple of years, 5 to 6 years, to get another water supply online. The study, the well itself ran for 15 years without a problem. Before the iron and manganese issues came about, there is a lot of funding available. Yes, it comes from your tax dollars, but there is a lot of grant funding available for treatment of the PFAS, which includes treatment of iron and manganese. We've been looking at this for a while. This is our most cost-effective, best option that we find to have our resources for the future for the residents of the Lunenburg. That's about all I got on that. Does anybody have any other comments regarding that?
Yeah, Mrs. Pease mentioned,
What? Your name?
oh, John Esposito. Mrs. Pease mentioned that the water is undrinkable. Well, like Mark Bird said, that well was online for 15 years, and nobody even knew it. It was on from 1995 to 2010, and the treatment plant we hope is going to go in there to save your lake from PFAS and from everybody from drinking it. It's just it's a tough situation. I don't know. It's you can't just go out and find a well. It takes years to find a decent well. When you do find it, take years and years to get it online. Like Mr. Bird said, it's going to cost millions of dollars. When I say millions, I mean maybe 4, maybe 5. And then you got to run pipelines from that well to tap into the existing source you have. So it's just not a simple thing to do. And as far as our wells being 1 foot from Hickory Hills water line, the lake line, that's not true. I've been down here myself, and
I did not say the well was, I said the easement extends.
The easement.
no, you said the well.
Before the
Yes.
Hickory Hills landowner's property. I did not say the well.
The easement. The easement, John.
John, hold the mic closer to your mouth a little bit.
All right, I guess so. But whatever you say, Mrs. Pease. All right, that's all I got to say.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. I actually really appreciate everybody showing the interest in this. My name is Woody, or Matt Woodward. I'm a commissioner here. Listen, there's a lot of arguments to and fro in this. I assure you this, that I'm kind of a numbers guy, and I've been told I'm cheap sometimes. I am looking at, and all of us had the best solution for the entire Lunenburg Water District. We've met with the Hickory Hills Landowners Association many times. We share your concerns. This is a study. Yes, it is a lot of money. However, we feel that this is the best way forward for our town and to eliminate this PFAS chemical. Now, yes, you are correct. You could possibly get different well sites, but to do that, you need to get DEP approval. It takes time, it takes money, and I can almost guarantee you will find PFAS somewhere else. This is currently an active DEP-approved well that's run for 15 years, and we'd like to use the resource that we have. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions?
Mary Ellen Letarte, 260 Lancaster Avenue. I grew up in Leominster, Whalum District. And when I was young, we were drinking Lake Whalum because there was no planning. And in those days, all the rules were different. The population was half what it is today. I'm just here because I remember that vividly. The water decreased for a decade. And in those days, you could throw chemicals anywhere. Nobody stopped you, even in your backyard. So I'm just pleading, actually, to respect this water district who has done so much for our community by not just doing Band-Aids, by looking ahead. Look at our municipal, I'm not going to go there anymore. I just wanted to make a plea because I remember that decade of not having good water. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Carol Hatch, 41 Hilltop Lane. The thing that, this is my third meeting on this subject, and I just wonder if you could talk about what if that well couldn't be opened up? How dire is our need? I don't remember that really being discussed, and I think a lot of people here would love to get that information.
I'd like to defer that to Fran.
Frank McNamara, Superintendent. The big concern that we have is that the potential regulations down the road are going to be lowered, and treatment will be needed at our other sources. Currently, we have two other sources. Lancaster Ave, we have 4 wells. We kind of look at that as one source. And then we have the newest well down in Keatings. So it is our opinion that as things move forward, one of those sources will need treatment. And if they don't, if we don't have another source redundancy, then Lunenburg's in deep trouble. We need 2 sources to run to meet the demands for Lunenburg. And one of those sources is down for a year and a half, we're in deep trouble. So we're just trying to be ahead of the game and attack this now while the funding is available. The number one priority for funding is the PFAS removal. So if we put in a application for a grant or funding, we're going to go to the top of the list. So we're trying to attack it now. And as for some of the other methods of acquiring water, we purchased from another town. We've looked at that. When we put in the Keating well, that was a huge thing we did. We looked at buying water from Fitchburg, and it was so much money that we couldn't afford it. It was insane how much money it was. And that was for a tiny bit of water. I mean, if we had to buy water from Fitchburg or any other town, Townsend, or I don't know if anybody else could supply, but probably Townsend or Fitchburg, it'd be insane. And we wouldn't even be able to buy enough water from them to meet the demands that we need. So I think if we did do a interconnection with another town, I think it's a great idea. But I think it'd be only an emergency situation that we would use it, and it would be for a short term, maybe a couple days, maybe a week, something like that, but not for a year and a half.
I get something to add to that, Fran. Just real quick. Yep.
Hello, John Rabbit, 314 Townsend Harbor Road. I got to get it right up here. Is that what I got it? Okay, here we go. Not used to this. Okay, John Rabbit, 314 Townsend Harbor Road. I have a couple of quick questions, if I could. From a background perspective, when we were putting the siphons in, the team of us worked at looking at all the impacts that would go along, and one of them, I believe, was a study that we looked at, and I think you folks had it commissioned in the 80s or 90s. Does anybody recall that at all? 1997? Okay, thank you, Carol. And what it indicated was the possibility that you could pull the water down to about a foot below where it would normally be sitting. And I was wondering, what is the environmental impact on that when we're having a bad summer and you're pumping the living hell out of it? The other part of it was they had us, DEP, when we were working, had us measure the downstream effect of the siphoning. And we know John Beal was out there measuring things all over the place. But they're very, very sensitive to the impact on the mulpus. Hopefully that study will incorporate that. And the last piece is, where's the business model coming in? If we're only going to pump it for a smaller period of time, if we have to, why are we investing the money now, aside from the fact that we want to go and grab some free state money that really is our kind of money? I don't see why we would want to spend that. So for that reason, I'd love to hear what your response is in terms of why are we doing this report? Why are we doing it again? Versus why aren't we using the one that was done 20 years ago? Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. I can address some of these for you. I guess one of the things that maybe kicked this whole thing off was the funding. Right now, the state is on a big kick to get rid of all the PFAS it can, okay? Sorry, so everybody can hear me. So as we started looking more and more into this, we realized that there's a lot of funding out there that we can grab. Looking into the future, we're quite certain that the DEP will lower the allowable PFAS limits on wells. Once that happens, all across the Commonwealth, people, towns, and cities are going to be looking for funding to do PFAS treatment facilities. I know Littleton just put in a large facility. They got a grant, and they got about $4 million of that forgiven. So if we're talking financials, the main reason this got kicked off is because we are trying to get the funding that we can now, and it's available to stay ahead of the curve. Worst case scenario here is that if this does not happen, and then in a year or two, these levels get dropped by the state, now we're in trouble. We can't use some of the wells that we have, and we need to start scrambling to get water. So what we're trying to do is have a tactical approach to this, plan for the future, and get the best solution for us while this funding is available.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Doris Hill. I live at 32 Riley Road in Lunenburg. And my question is there any list or map or anything that would indicate which well serves which neighborhoods or which streets so that we can sort of monitor whether or not to be concerned about the levels of these things?
So the way the wells work currently in this town are, we have our, let's say, well, right now our two sources. They get pumped up to the tanks that we have, and it gets redistributed throughout the entire district. So it's not necessarily coming from one area going to another. It goes up to a tank, and that goes out to everywhere. Does that answer your question?
I guess so. So no particular well serves a particular area of town?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Ralph Swick, 113 Townsend Harbor Road. We've heard tonight, I guess, off the cuff estimates of $4 to $5 million in multiple years to develop a new source. Maybe you want to refine those numbers, but my understanding is that this motion is to do a study to determine how much it might cost to treat the wells that we have. Do you have any estimate? Do you have any guess as to sort of the scale, the magnitude of what these kinds of treatment plants would cost?
Not entirely, and that's the entire point of this study. So just so you know, in the DEP requires this study before any treatment facility can be put in for any type of PFAS. You just can't throw one in, okay? So without this study, there is no treating it. It's how it's done. And the way we're approaching this study is to try to do a long-term study to get the most accurate readings out of that. So therefore, this plant can be designed to treat this the most efficient way. That's the point of the study. So as far as the actual cost at the end, I can't really answer that. We will have a better idea once we have the study.
Thanks. I realize you can't give a precise number, but do you have any any comparable treatment facilities that have been built recently where, if we knew that it was,
What's that?
low end $1 million and high end 20 million?
Okay, so you are, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a little tough to narrow it down because there's so many variables in this. I'll tell you that the one that Littleton built was $20 million. We're not even to be close to that because we don't have that type of volume and size, et cetera. Ours, of course, let's all face it, the economy has changed in the past year, and a lot of prices have gone up. So $4 million, $2 million, I can't say for sure. It really depends on what's involved with it. I feel it'll be a cost-effective solution. I mean, not that I think $4 million is cost-effective. However, once again, I feel that this is the best solution for this current situation we have. That's why we're here.
Anybody else?
John Brush, 100 Royal Fern Drive. I know we have this study coming. What I am concerned about is that the actual metrics that we're going to be looking for, I assume that you'd be looking at bringing it under the 20 parts per trillion as opposed to a complete removal. If we're already expecting a lower number, then is the study going to be looking at bringing it to the lower number that we don't know what it is, or are we going to be looking at the 20 parts per trillion?
Sir, this facility will eliminate it. It'll be zero when it's done, okay, as far as the PFAS goes. That's how this will work.
I guess one additional then, if we could also include with that anticipation, then we should be looking at bringing the remaining wells down to zero as well.
Sir, and that's exactly why we're looking to do this. We realize that in the future this may happen other parts of town, and in order to do this, let's just say that this passes and eventually this all worked out. Now we would have the Hickory Hills well producing zero PFAS, which is outstanding, along with eliminating the manganese and the other contaminants in that. So now we have a well at zero. And then maybe further down the line, if the DEP lowers their requirements, we'll have to look at our other wells that are currently okay. Recently, we did put out some information showing the PFAS levels on the wells. I'm sure you guys got it in your bill, but feel free to look at it or come up after the meeting and talk to us. I'd love to talk to you about it, but the net will be a zero if this treatment facility is installed.
Okay, anybody else?
My name is Eric Arnold, 105 Hemlock Drive. Just to be clear, this isn't about a shortage of water issue. Is that correct?
It's not necessarily, but it may be a shortage of water we can use.
Because, I mean, I forget exactly, but it was just a few years ago that this board wanted to sell water to Lancaster, and that was voted down by the town. And it seemed like we had plenty of water then to sell to other towns, but now I feel like I'm hearing the impression that this is a crisis and we need to reopen this well in order to provide water to the town. And I heard what you said about it's a backup. I guess what I would say is if there's money for a study, and you've already said that you're almost pretty confident that the state is going to require lower PFAS levels everywhere, why not use that money to study the wells that are working, that are showing PFAS levels that are at an acceptable level now, but you would anticipate might not be in the future. Use that money to study what would be needed there and start that process, rather than try to open some well that lots of people don't already want and have already voted down several times. And this, again, it's not a shortage of water issue, which I think is being hinted at.
Okay, to answer your first question, when that was brought up prior about the Lancaster, that was before PFAS. That was not into play at all. So at the time, yes, we had water, but there was not a PFAS problem. Now there is. So you're asking, is there a water shortage? Currently today, right now, no. Okay? However, if the state lowers the PFAS limit, we are in a serious water shortage problem. So we have currently let's just call it 3 main wells in Lunenburg right now. If we can use this other resource, it is going to be a lifesaver for this community, I assure you. If this does not happen, the reality is that the water rates will probably end up having to go through the roof, as we will have to buy water from outside resources and do emergency, a fix action, which I don't even know what we could do yet. We would seriously limit the amount of water usage that we could put out, because we wouldn't have it. So there would be a water shortage.
So again, if you're anticipating this crisis, impending crisis, why aren't we looking at the existing wells, using this money to study what the existing wells need to be in compliance with this predicted lower rate?
You said it exactly, it's a predicted lower rate. And right now, currently, there is no funding available for the sources that fall below the allowable limits. The only funding is available for the wells that are above allowable limits. So right now, if we're gonna try to get funding for this, the only well we can get funding for is the Hickory Hills well. So we can't get any funding, it would all have to come from the water district. So as to Mr. Woodward's comments, our rates are gonna go significantly higher, and it's gonna be the burden of the takers because we won't have the additional funding from the state.
Anybody else?
Marie Latarte, 18 Graham Street. I kind of think that we all know that governments, towns, states, whatever, they do the Band-Aid, right? They fix it today and don't worry about tomorrow. I think this board is doing a really great thought of worrying about tomorrow, worrying about your kids, worrying about your grandkids. They're not just saying, oh, we can fix it for today and don't worry about tomorrow. They're worried about tomorrow, and they're making plans for it, and they're taking opportunities with money that the state will give to someone else. If they can get it, why not vote to have this? Water is good.
Okay, somebody else?
Bill Hudson, 90 Hemlock Drive. So you're saying that the only funding is available for items that are over 20%?
Correct.
What is the anticipated level going forward that you mentioned here?
Okay, all right, so
we got 14%, we have 3%, we have
So,
5%.
all right, I can kind of talk a little bit on this. So currently, we talk about PFAS, which is polyfluoro, I can't even say it for crying out loud, okay? All right, so that is currently actually a group of different chemicals, 20, 30, 40 different chemicals that we call PFAS today. And what they do when they test for this is they test all these chemicals, and then they come up with this number, all these 20, let's say, different chemicals, and that's the PFAS numbers. What they're going to start doing in the future is they're going to just start PFAS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to test every single one of these levels. And instead of grouping them all together, if a 1 is too high, it's going to get knocked out and be like, you're too high. So to answer your question, like, is it going to go down to 14, 12%? It's not an exact science. I can't give you that number, but it's going to be lower, and then more importantly, they're going to be doing each category.
So basically, every town that has a well, the state's going to shut them down because they're not prepared.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Well, no, you are. You're saying that we won't be able to use the well if we're below the threshold. So every town that isn't prepared, so there will be no more money in the future.
I'm saying they will shut down the wells that have high PFAS numbers. For example, Ayer just got shut down. Okay, so there's wells that don't have PFAS in it.
So my second question is, you say that there's no funding for these other wells to do tests. Understand. And your infrastructure goes to 2 tanks. I believe there's only 2 tanks in town.
Yep.
I'll call Walmart and Sunny Hill Road.
Mm-hmm.
How does the majority of water get into the larger structure on the one right off of 2A here. Does that water come from the Shirley for the Keating well?
It comes from the wells that we're currently using in town, yes. As we,
So my question, would you be able to direct the water from the Keating well to that location only so that a facility could be built there on that site to take Hickory Hills well?
I understand what you're saying, sir, and the way
or all the wells going forward.
No, it could not. The way the pipe system works, it's not how it would be done.
Well, I'm just asking because we don't know how the pipes are run. Right? Like, pipes go here, pipes go there. If you're pumping all the water in and you're pumping it out, wouldn't it be a good place to have a location?
If you had a direct feed, yes, but there's no direct feed in town. So if you live on Reservoir Road and the Keating well is not on, your water's coming from one of the tanks. But if the Keating well is running and you're on Reservoir Road, you're probably getting a direct feed because the same pipe that feeds everybody's home feeds the tanks.
Okay, that's not what I understood when he just said all the water gets pumped up to the
Right.
tanks.
Well, the wells, when they pump, they turn on. You have the larger transmission lines, which feed all your fire hydrants and the water tanks. And then off of those lines are your home services. So the same line that transports the water from the well to the tank also feeds your home. So you could be getting water from a tank, you could be getting water from a well.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Sandra Hobby, 104 Royal Fern Drive. I'm wondering, could you speak to whether or not Lunenburg has an intermunicipal agreement with Fitchburg and Leominster? And if you don't, why don't we?
That's all, Fran. We'll give you that. We'll give you that, Fran.
No, we do not have an actual agreement. I think Mr. Rogers made a comment that, was it Mayor King or something, set it up through the legislature that we could make one with Fitchburg. We've had discussions with them. It never was finalized. We never really could come to a good location to put in a pump station because we would need to pump water from Fitchburg. But if there was an emergency situation and we needed to get water, it wouldn't be easy, but we could do it. I mean, we could get water from a fire hydrant, pump it into another fire hydrant or something of that nature. We do have an interconnection with the city of Leominster on Lincoln Street. The water mains are actually connected and separated with a closed valve. Same situation there. The pressures of Lunenburg is higher than Leominster, so for us to get water, we would need to pump water from Leominster to Lunenburg. So we do have the ability for emergency connections, but there is no actual true intermunicipal agreement.
Okay, anybody else?
Oh, Jesus.
Paula Bertram, 312 Townsend Harbor Road. The Board of Hickory Hills has had numerous discussions with the Water District regarding the well. Obviously, our main concern is the impact of the well on the Hickory Hills Lake. The board has agreed to support the study, provided the following. That the impact pumping the well may have to the water level of Hickory Hills be evaluated by a hydrogeologist. The study shall assess various pumping parameters, including seasonal effects, and the associated impacts of the lake level. In order to get an accurate indication of impacts on the lake level, the water released from the pumping during the study shall be done so downstream, so that outside of the watershed of the lake, so that we can get an accurate read of the impact on the lake. Byproducts of the proposed treatment shall be clearly identified as well as the storage size, location, and disposal method. The required size and location of the treatment facility shall be outlined as part of the study. Other water district well sites shall also be studied for PFAS remediation. This will be important if the state requirements drop dramatically. The study shall provide project duration and cost of implementing treatment at each of the wells, not just the Hickory Hills well site. So those are the conditions that the board has outlined, and I want to be clear whether this passes or it doesn't. The issue with the board is that we need to be part of any study that is done so we can ensure that the scope of the study identifies any impacts to the lake and that we can see those impacts and study the results. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to address the lake level. We've got a geologist that's worked for the water district. We've got a geologist that works for the water districts when we need them, and we had a study on the levels of the lake down there using when we use the water. Now the level of the lake, if in 1995 to 2010, we pumped a well for 15 years and nobody noticed the lake dropping an inch or half an inch, a foot or 2 feet or whatever it was, but it didn't drop at all because nobody ever said a thing. And they surely would have. Now, we've had geologists to tell us that the lake level is not going to drop if we pump that well. And if 1 inch of water coming out of that lake, this is 1 inch, is 8 million gallons. And that's to say if it doesn't rain or there's no water going into it and we have a dry summer, that's 1 inch in 8 million gallons. And we don't pump 8 million gallons a day. So the lake level is minimal. It's not going to affect the lake. And we've got geologists that say so.
I want to be clear. The board of directors is asking that the study include the study of the lake level. I will disagree respectfully with the previous speaker in saying that in 1995 the lake was at a historic low level. Additionally, the pumping tests for the well were done by Dufresne and Henry clearly indicates that the lake level will drop and it will reach, quote, and I quote, a new normal. The question is, what is that new normal? We are simply asking that a hydrogeologist be part of this study to determine the lake level if the well goes online.
Thank you for your thank you for your comment there, Ms. Bertram, and you are correct. In this new study, we have the hydrogeologist, and as part of this study is going to be monitoring the lake level the entire time and getting reports back on it. Okay, so that will be done as part of this study because we care about this lake, believe me, just as much as you do. It is in our documents. It is what is in the contract with Ty and Bond. Once again, if anybody would like to look at that, they can. But that's there, and that will be monitored and studied during this, roughly 18-month procedure that we do.
Okay, anybody else? Questions?
Let's have a vote.
If not,
Hey, once, Jeff.
My apologies, I keep going back and then keep coming forward. I'm going to stay here. So the question that I have, based on what you just said, is has the scope already been defined?
No, not fully. We discussed it, but they haven't given us the actual.
Not until the money's allocated.
Not until we've allocated the money. So,
okay,
but however, you've even seen this draft of what is going to be involved with that and studying the lake level.
That's not our agreement. Our agreement was that we would be able to see the scope before this project was put out to bid.
That's our intention.
Absolutely. We will. Absolutely.
Okay, so we will be able to have input onto the scope of this study.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I want to be very clear.
I think you should agree that we already have. We've been in, I believe, in very good communication and been forthright with this entire procedure.
Right, but we just haven't seen the scope, and our understanding is that we will see the scope and be able to comment on and have input into that scope.
You absolutely will.
I just want to clarify that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Carol Hatch, 41 Hilltop Lane. My concern is voting on it without seeing the scope. I'm really betwixt in between. I live on Hickory Hills. I have a well. I'm not concerned personally. I'm concerned about all the residents in terms of my own water. I'm concerned about all the homeowners, our land values. Should the lake decrease, it will affect us, it will affect the environment in many, many ways, the ecosystem. So it's really hard to vote for the study without knowing the scope. I'd love to be able to vote for the study, but I don't feel that I can right now.
Mr. Moderator, to the previous speaker, we had meetings and with Ms. Bertram and Mr. Fortune with our engineer. They understand the scope that we want. We do not have a contract document to sign until we vote to approve the money. Then we will have, and they understand, and Ms. Bertram can speak to this, she was here with a meeting with our engineer. They understand the concerns that the board has, and they understand that they need to address them in this study. All these things were brought up before we got this number from them for the study. They understand they need to be addressed. We just do not have a contract document that has all of this laid out until we appropriate the money. And also, the only other thing that hasn't been brought up tonight is we've already spent $2 or $2.5 million developing that well.
I don't know the number.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
Close
so
enough.
I think that the money spent to see if we can utilize a resource that we've already spent money on would be prudent.
Mary Coleman, 3 South Row Road. If the study were to move forward, takes a period of time, what would then be the next steps? Would it be series of meetings? Could it still be, well, we did the study and we're still not functioning with this well? Or where do you anticipate the next steps after that, if depending on what happens?
So I anticipate the first step being that Ty and Bond would come up with a contract document defining every part of the study. We would have a meeting to review that document, and then we would move forward with the study. What the study is going to determine is completely unknown. Whether we can feasibly treat the resource and meet everybody's expectations, we don't know until we do the study. I believe the community has done numerous studies and a lot of times in the past, and we haven't acted on all of them. Our hopes are that this study produces information that is acceptable to all parties with their concerns so that we can move forward and use a resource that we've already got money vested into and in a decent timeline.
Joan Pease. When I was on the sewer commission, we did studies to get companies in to do different aspects of improving the sewer system in the area. And one of the things we always did when we put it out to bid, before we even made any decisions on contracts, was we had a scope and sequence outlined and written down and approved. I think it's dangerous to approve something where there is no written guarantee for the things that Mrs. Bertram has mentioned. And I would strongly recommend that even if you are in favor of this well, and I am not, I mean this study on this well, I am not, even if you are in favor, that you ask your elected official to put in writing the scope and sequence before you vote on it, so you know exactly what you are voting for. Thank you.
Yeah, let's have a vote. We talked enough.
I understand there are a lot
This one,
Oh,
I keep pulling out the cord with my feet.
oh, that's a good thing.
Try that.
Try it now, Jeff. Okay. There we go. Hey.
Rebecca Duval, 174 Reservoir Road. I understand the consensus in the audience tonight. There are a lot of Hickory Hills residents here, and I fully understand you're worried about your property values and the lake levels and the impact it has on the environment. But also, if this ends up happening, if the PFAS levels aren't taken care of, this can affect the whole community, and then we're all in trouble. They're looking down the road to take the best interest of our town into consideration to prevent anything tragic from happening. You know, if we don't have enough water in the town of Lunenburg, it's going to affect everybody's property values. People won't want to move to Lunenburg, or you might have to move out. There's not enough water. So I understand and I sympathize with you, but it's not just the town of Hickory Hills, it's the town of Lunenburg, and there are many other residents as well who are concerned about this situation.
Okay, if there's nobody else,
Can't keep playing tennis here.
I would just comment that the board of directors has tried to work with the water district. Our ultimate responsibility, I'm no longer on the board, but when I was on the board, I am still a representative of the board to speak on behalf of the board regarding this issue. I would just comment that we have worked with them, but ultimately our responsibility is to the homeowners in Hickory Hills. And I would just say that if this well was on Lake Shirley, people from Lake Shirley may feel a little bit differently. This is 49 feet from our lake and 49 feet down. I just want to make sure that people understand that. If the water district is willing to include us in the scope, and if this were to pass, we will work with them to make sure that the study protects the interest of Hickory Hills. How the vote goes is up to the water takers of the district, and we will continue to work with the water district. Thank you.
Hi, Donna Patticchiola, 132 Hemlock Drive. My concern was that I had read that, it isn't cheap to clean up PFAS, but also it can take years. And I just wanted to address, because PFAS, like how long is it going to take to clean it up once you...
If this study works and all parties are acceptable to the study, the PFAS treatment can go into effect as easy as right after the
pilot study.
The pilot study's done. So I would say within 2 years we could be up and functioning with a treatment facility.
Is it in the bedrock?
It's in the groundwater. And that's what's that basin that feeds the Hickory Hills? Mulpus Brook Basin feeds Hickory Hills. Currently, our water comes from Lancaster Ave and Keatings, which is a Catacootamog Basin, which feeds Lake Shirley. So essentially, all of your water comes from the same basin that feeds Lake Shirley.
Is it well number 4 we're discussing? Is that the number well?
We are discussing the Hickory Hills well.
Yeah. It's 4? Okay.
No.
No, 5?
It's the Hickory Hills
okay,
well.
no number. Okay, so in 1980, I was pregnant for my little girl. We had some kind of kerfuffle with Sozik over dumping James River Paper Company, toluene, benzene, all kinds of cancer-causing chemicals that came from the paper mill. Is that at all affecting this Hickory Hill Lake well?
That is way above my pay grade. That would be something that an engineer, and I believe over the years the board has probably monitored that situation.
That was 1979.
Yep, I remember, little kid. I was taking 5-gallon cans from the little tubs up the street, putting them on my skateboard because I couldn't lift them.
Rebecca Duval, 174 Reservoir Road. One final thought I forgot to mention. Tonight we're just voting for or against a study. We're not voting for the well to go online like that. We have the funding for it. Let's see what we find and where it can lead from here. If we don't do the study, we could end up between a rock and a hard place years down the road, and our water rates could go up because we don't have the money now. The state wants to give us money. I understand the money can go somewhere else, but If we're trying to be proactive, let's use this money, get the study going. It doesn't hurt anything to see the study. You need to see the results before you can move forward.
Okay, hold on.
Anybody else who thinks they can do it?
Easy, we gotta go with people that haven't spoken.
Tom Alonso, 284 Lancaster Avenue. I have a question about the study. Is the study site-specific to this well, or does what you find about this study, if you didn't want to bring this on well and the other wells had to be treated, would you have to do a study there too?
Yes.
That is correct. So this is really putting all your chips on one well.
As we have explained before and why, yes, this is just on the Hickory Hills well because we'll be able to get the funding for it. The information that we can use. I should say the information. Now, first off, I really do want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight because I know it takes a lot to come to these meetings. I don't want to play tennis back and forth with this. I feel that pretty much most people that came here tonight already know how they feel about this. I do welcome all the public comment, but let's try to just make sure we cover new areas that we haven't gotten to yet in the save time, please.
No.
The commissioner just commented that we all pull from the same basin. I want to clarify that. We all belong to the Nashua River Basin. However, there are 3 sub-basins in the town of Lunenburg. There is the Mulpus Sub-Basin, there is the Catacoonamog Sub-Basin, and there is the Falula Sub-Basin. The Whalen area belongs to the Falula Sub-Basin, Lake Shirley belongs to the Catacoonamog, and Hickory Hills belong to the Mulpus. We are not, and I want to clarify, not pulling from the same basin.
News to me. What?
Yeah.
Again, the water from Catacomb. What? What? Hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah, so, yes, Paula is 100% correct. There's 3 basins, which are all part of the Nashua River Basin. Currently, Lunenburg is fed from the Catacoonamug Basin. So Lake Shirley is feeding, that basin is feeding the entire town of Lunenburg. So, and if we did go for another source of water, another well site, it would be on one of the peninsulas of Lake Shirley, with probably about the same distance as what this Hickory Hills well is from the lake right now. So, we'd be talking the same thing. PFAS, it's found in rainwater. So if there is a site that doesn't have rainwater, doesn't have PFAS, and stuff's gonna start rising. Other things to consider is the manganese levels. That's why the Hickory Hills well was taken offline in 2012 is when DEP made us put it as an inactive source. The wells on Lancaster Ave have levels 0.2, 0.28. When it hits 0.3, that's it, they're done. So not only is it concern of PFAS, we're looking at other potential possible causes of shutting down the sources on Lancaster Ave. Many of you, mostly Hickory Hills people, complain about the hardness of the water. And mostly complain about the water district won't do anything about it. What can we do? If you want to shut that well off and fix the hardness, you need to fix the Hickory Hills well. So you guys got to start deciding on what do you want to do. You love the hard water, or you want the Hickory Hills well turned on? Because we cannot fix the hard water without turning the Hickory Hills well back online. So, but Paula was correct on the basins. You are getting it from Catacoonamug, no question there. If we do a new source somewhere, Goodrich Street, Catacoonamug, same basin. I don't know, if you want to start competing lakes against lakes, go at it, but we don't want to be part of that.
Is it on?
Turn
No.
the light on and off.
It's on.
Yeah.
Is it the switch
Not
there?
yet, it's this.
Oh, there. Oh,
Just make sure
try
the
that,
light's
Jim.
on.
Sorry.
Just make sure sometimes you don't move a little.
June Hudson, 90 Hemlock Drive. My question is, before when we had a meeting, you guys were trying to expand Zone 1 of that, including that Hickory Hills well, and it was going to negatively affect our ability to use the lake, to garden, to fish, to swim, and it was going to be significantly impacting the residents around that area, and actually all the residents, because, excuse me, we all fish, we all swim all over the lake. Is that still the case? Are you going to be looking the area so that we can't enjoy what we've purchased
Fran,
and have been depending on.
Fran, you want that one?
Yeah, this was all brought up. Actually, DEP responded to that and said that was not going to be the case, and we're not going to restrict that area. The letter went to the Hickory Hills Land Board, and they should have. Correct thing would have been to forward that to all you residents, so you all were aware of that. It appears that you weren't aware of that. But that was direct from DEP. So I don't think the information is passing to Hickory Hills people as it should be.
It might have, and I just might not have. I thought this was an open forum to ask those types of questions.
Oh, no, we won't stick to the issues. Okay.
Can we move?
Yeah.
Move the question, please.
Yes.
Second. Second. Yeah. We've had enough
Counters here.
discussion on this thing.
Just did.
We just seconded. Yeah. It's
Not again.
What is the motion specifically? But what is the question?
The motion, I'm sorry you weren't here. Move that the district vote to appropriate the sum of 306.
Hold on, moving the question first. We have a-
Oh,
Yep, move the question. I'm sorry,
Oh.
yep, it's my fault.
sorry.
All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Article 1 is before us.
Do you want me to reread the article?
Yes, please.
Okay. Move that the district vote to appropriate the sum of $360,000
Turn it on.
from the water system enhancement account to hire Ty and Bond, the district's engineering consultants, to design, coordinate a pilot study to determine the method of treatment options available to remove iron, manganese, and polyfluoroalkali substance, PFAS, from the Hickory Hills well. In short, Paula, all the things that we discussed. It's talking about design and coordinate a pilot study. It's not designed yet, but we've discussed the design in depth.
Discussion is done.
Yeah,
The discussion's over.
But he just directed that comment.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
I
that's
didn't mean to-
it. We're done.
He names me.
Sorry, sorry, Paula.
Okay, we're ready to
That
vote.
wasn't the
I
name
make
I
an
was
amendment.
thinking. What?
So I would make a motion to amend the motion. And there was a second.
It'd have to be.
I make a motion to amend the motion to include that the Hickory Hills Board of Directors be included in identifying the scope of the amendment in accordance with our conversations, that we be allowed, that a hydrogeologist be engaged to study the lake level, the parameters, identify, make sure that any byproducts are removed away from the lake, and that all pumping be put downstream.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna allow it because
Well,
it's already
I
been,
made a motion. I made a motion.
it's already been moved.
No. And I can make an amendment
We
on
made
that
an
motion.
article.
He moved it. And I can make an amendment, Mr.
No, I reread.
That is absolutely allowed.
I was rereading the movement. I moved the article at the
No.
beginning of the meeting.
And it's a second, and I can make an amendment. No, that is incorrect, Mr. LeBlanc.
Mr. Moderator.
How many of you would know that?
Tell Jeff to.
Mr. Moderator, I simply reread the motion that we already read at the beginning of the meeting. It was seconded and it was voted on.
Mr. Moderator, this is illegal.
Yep.
Once a motion has been made and seconded, a motion is allowed to be amended.
It was made before you got here,
It
Paula.
cannot be amended prior to the motion being made. Correct.
We already had the motion and he just.
And I amended the motion.
No,
Legal.
I reread.
That is not legal, Mr.
Discussion's
That
closed.
is incorrect.
Jeff, discussion's closed.
I will not.
It's closed.
Motion to move. That's
I'm
it.
gonna select Mr. 12 years.
That's great.
This is
That's it.
illegal.
Don't go to them.
That's it.
This is illegal.
Everybody that's listening to this. 1 second, Jeff. This is, this isn't right.
John, easy, John, easy.
Yeah,
Easy,
yeah.
easy.
Paula, that's enough, Paula. You're interrupting the whole meeting.
John.
John, you got it, yeah.
Move the question.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I am disgusted that you're shutting her down. That's
Okay.
why we're all
Okay. All
here.
right. Just.
Motion's
You're right.
made to move the question.
Move the question. Let's go, Jeff.
All right, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Article 1, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Okay, we'll have our counters.
Gonna be close.
Well, anyone, Jeff, you need to let anyone
Nobody-
know who
nobody
has
can
visitor
move.
sticker
Visitors
needs to
over
sit
there.
over in the.
Yeah, the visitors.
Any visitors that have to go behind the, in the yellow line there? Everybody out of that yellow part there?
I moved it. She wasn't here when I made the question.
She's the trouble with this town, that douchebag.
It was moved before she got here. And it was second. That was the time to bring it up, not when I reread it.
Sooner that bitch is gone, the better this whole world.
Can't say that. Can't say that.
Yeah. I moved the question originally before she got here.
She's got a right to talk just like everybody else.
Oh, yeah, she does. But she ain't got a right to stand up there and yell at us.
Yeah.
We gotta be careful.
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't we just separate the rows?
Yeah. Can I do this? Hey, to make this easier for our...
It's up to, you gotta bring it through the moderator and suggest it.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, can we put the yeses on one side and the noes on the other side, just to make it easier for everybody? Yeses over here, noes over there, please.
And if you can't, you can stay in your. Oh my God.
What?
What?
I need you to amend it.
We don't know where to go to vote. This is so disorganized, it's unbelievable.
Listen to the,
Please tell us where to go to vote.
listen to the moderator.
I click on here.
No vote. Yes vote, over that way. No vote, over this way.
And take the visitors out. I gotta try that next time. I gotta do something. What, we got a yes vote on one side, no vote? So
Yes vote on that side, no vote on that.
Everybody from Hickory Hills goes over there.
Yeah.
Everybody else in town goes over here. I agree with the lady from Lake Shore. We need to try to do what's best for the community as a whole.
See, she's still there.
Wait, just wait. We'll talk about it later.
I don't think so.
Those over on this side. Okay?
We ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna go.
No, you go.
Hey, do they count? They count us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Christie, make sure they count us three as yeses.
Okay.
All those in favor? Yes? Please raise your hands and make sure you're up.
John, raise your hand.
He's a yes.
Trying to stay safe? So, as a board of selectmen, he voted, approved, as a member of the board of selectmen, who endorsed this, has decided to change his mind. Call Congress.
Being recorded.
thing still plugged in and working?
It is. Oh, sorry. I keep gonna have to flip it.
Hands.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's gotta be close. I don't know if we got I bet you could look and basically we will be able to put this in goes down. Residents of this area will use their own water, I'm not sure.
Nice and high, nice and high.
Take a picture. Take a picture of this and then like when it comes up later.
Yeah. You like my nice little tiger stripe glasses? Nice readers. Oh yeah. I got like pairs of them everywhere.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that nice?
Jeez. The other day I was helping my buddy hook up some electric stuff. I'm like, any glasses? I haven't done this in a while. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I can't ever read, you know.
I'm getting there. I had to.
Only one hand per person, not two. It's close. It's tough to see this, but it is.
Wow, yeah.
Joan and Paula.
She's something.
She is something. Put two hands up. Yes, Paul. Organize yourself. In a colorful vote at the Lunenburg Water District headquarters on Massachusetts Ave, residents vote not to share their water with the rest of the community.
I'm not going to force people to get in lines of
Nope. Nope. I've had 3 of these meetings that have been this much of a fun time. Why are we doing that? No, you guys don't have to get in lines of 5. You guys are good. We're all counted on this side. I think we're good. Man.
Some of the Monday Night Fire training stuff?
I've done some. Yeah. As I get older, I'm getting a little less active. Yeah. Let the young guys do all the fun stuff. Why are they counting their own?
She's lining them up.
Hey. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know, huh? That's close. They probably got us. Because we don't have as many people over here. They're deep on that side. Well, wait till when we have to supply Howard Street, we're going to have restrictions. Hey, what was it? When they voted to sell water to Lancaster, it went by like 5 votes. Really? And a narrow margin. And still, it doesn't matter. Now what they do is they're going to stack once the study's complete.
So when you guys announce the vote, it'll be him, but you guys can do it from the table. That way we just get it. So
He's gonna announce the moderator announces the captain.
Okay. So make sure it's Mike.
Yeah, we want to make sure it's Mike. Jeff?
No, he's off.
Oh, I know.
Probably should have made my wife come. Yeah. And the kids. Where's my wife? One of my kids can't vote. I should have the other one. I had Emily come to one of my meetings once. Never been to it. One of the last ones we had here. And she said it didn't matter. Everybody walked in and already had their vote in place. Didn't matter what you said. You made very good comments. Didn't matter. Everybody already knew exactly how they were voting. Very true. Extremely disappointed in Tom Owens. That's right. Never brought up any concerns or voted to approve it as a select board. No. We were doing good. You have to keep the open conversation. You can't keep the open conversation. La 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 la. Where's my wife?
I asked for a ballot! I asked for a ballot! No, I just asked for a ballot. 75, 76, 77.
All right, we hear you.
Can I call for the police?
Thanks.
Let's see. Shoulder Valley Dispatch. Oh, yeah, we'll take you. Yes. Yes, you're a yes.
Yeah. Yes, I can sign you up, but hang on a minute, because they did cast a vote, but we are waiting to find out.
We got one more.
That's a yes?
Yes. All right, so add one more to the yes.
Might be the Stein vote, Ryan. You got to be careful about letting people in. Well, I guess it's a public meeting. You're going to let people in.
Where are we getting true for the vote? We need a ballot.
Sheets here.
Yep.
Do you guys want this to pass?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have somebody reopen it and accept the amendment of what she's saying, it'll pass. I just want to let you know because it's devolving into
But it
chaos.
says it in the article that we're going to, they're gonna
just trying to
coordinate.
make-
They're gonna be part of it. Yeah, but she knows it. We've had 4 meetings. We know we're gonna
Again,
talk about this.
I'm not fighting this. I'm just saying. That's why a lot of people are
They
there.
were already a part of it. They were already
I just wanted to propose it, that's all.
Well, first off, no, call it.
Jeff, can I call the police now? Is she disrupting the meeting enough?
You're on TV.
I know.
Did you get counted?
What?
Did you get counted? Because they're counting again.
Let me make sure.
Well, that's the thing. She's not assigned as a counter.
Right.
Right. She is disrupting the meeting right now.
So can we ask?
You want to be that guy?
I want to be that guy.
All right.
Well, it's not my job. It's his job to be that guy.
I understand. Yeah, because he has to run a meeting.
You want me to call the police? She's not an authorized counter for us. She is disrupting our meeting right now. Jeff is running the meeting.
She's got some.
you not believe our vote? So the count doesn't go our way, so she's got to count for us. Thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah, I was shanghaied by my mother.
Oh.
She's like, I need a driver.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
nice to see
Thank you.
you.
Very nice comments.
Yes.
Oh, well, like clean water.
Gotta have it.
I thought this was, yeah, this sounds so elegant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice having a relation. It's nice
Can
knowing
we flip
people.
can we flip those over? I understand what Tom is saying, but it says it in the article. We're going to coordinate a pilot study. They're going to coordinate. They could be a part of the meeting. Plus 3. Okay. I thought we were at 79. You get that one last guy? So, come be a water commissioner.
Jesus, Mark, you fucked me on this one.
Can we cover these things?
Yeah, it's like 50 minutes. We go to Asian afterwards.
Town politics are.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and I got involved with the water district because I didn't want to deal with town politics.
Yeah, that's what you told me. There's no town politics here. I hope this passes. I hope it works.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Who can I call to get down here?
When they counted, did they get the ones there? Why? Where are they at?
We're gonna lose by 1.
Whoa.
Boy, she's making a lot of friends tonight, ain't she?
Yeah, but they counted us as yes and no. I don't know how they do that. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Think we can do it? Yeah.
Hang on, Jeff. I'm working on you.
Heads up.
Jeff.
All right, Jeff. You're good. You can talk. It works. You're good. You can talk.
I can talk?
Yeah.
we just
yeah.
Okay.
Call for a,
Okay.
so she says it fails, so we need to call for a revote. I say you do it again.
Okay, right now we have a tie
Can you
vote.
guys call for it?
77 yes. All right. 77 for and 77 against. All the
A tie vote does not pass in order with Robert's rules. For a vote to pass, it must have one greater vote.
Thank you. We have a moderator.
The motion fails. You can look it up. It's Robert's rules.
Stand by. Stand by. We have a moderator. I would like him to moderate.
Tell them who wins, who loses, Jeff, what the count is.
it's tied. It's tied 77 to 77. It
Did you count?
it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. We have a motion and a second to recount again.
You guys have been counting in sync.
Yeah.
Terry and Greg.
Yeah.
Go if you're here, Greg.
Hey, get back in your line.
Get it resolved, 'cause I think if we got it in,
Everything
in there.
that Paula wants is in this.
Is in there.
They need to design and coordinate a pilot. It's not. We've talked about the design. Everything she wants is in this.
We've had
We're going to work
multiple
with
meetings
your board.
in-
We're going to work with John. for the first time ever, we've had multiple meetings to work with the community.
For the
We
total
don't
number of
always do
people who
this
checked in.
negatively.
We're gonna have to count them afterwards.
I
We'll
have
check
interest
in.
to be on the
brought
lake.
to the whole entire
grew up
town
on
is
the lake.
obviously a hot topic.
It's gotta be,
There's no way
it's gotta
that-
be the water takers. The rest of the town doesn't have anything to say about what the water. You gotta be a registered voter and you gotta be a, you don't have to have water, but you have to be in the district.
We're gonna do one more recount.
Okay, Jeff, you're up.
Okay, we're gonna do a line, we're gonna do a count again.
It's all right.
Gotta stay in the line, and we're gonna have new counters.
Did we have a couple of ladies?
Yep.
Why don't you guys start here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Start with Jeff and do your three, go around.
Okay, everybody in line.
This gentleman is a visitor.
Yes.
This gentleman is a visitor, not Okay?
Ready? Ready? All right, so I'll start over here.
I'd love to see my wife show up and give me the sign and vote. She's got shit. I tried to talk to Paula. I don't think I can at this point. She cares about me. I'll talk to her. I mean, it's all in here.
What time is it anyhow?
Design and coordinate the highlight study. Be a part of our meetings.
4.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 4 more.
Yeah, 2 of my friends were home because his wife was sick. Pretty good. Hey, you live in Lunenburg?
Why not? You've seen our meetings. You know we're trying to do good.
79. They're gonna count them again. You watch. It was 78 before. Now it's 79.
Still, you're a resident. I'm allowed to vote. I'm a member of the community just as well as I'm a commissioner.
Not here. Where's yours? You stud just getting married on us, huh?
Better. We're working on it. She had a rough go. She was in the hospital for a few days. She's out. Doing better. Still living with us right now, so.
She is?
Yeah.
Oh, tell her I said hi.
I will. I will.
She would start teaching back in school.
Yeah. Yeah, she will get it.
I'd take it and go home too.
Huh?
I'd take it and go home too.
Sophomore or junior?
Yeah. She loved teaching.
2008 or 7, maybe?
Hold on, getting on this count.
9, 70, 71, 73, 74, 75, 76. And 77, 27.
78 on this side.
We'll pass it. We're not doing
Okay.
that's up to the moderator.
We have a count now, again, a second recount, 79 for yes, and 77 for no.
Pass the article, Jeff.
So that's the way the vote's gonna count. We already had a recount, and that's it. Thank you all for coming.
Yes, yes.
Well, bring it to the Attorney General.
Bring it to the Attorney General.
Jeff, pass the article. Nobody leave. Pass the article. Pass the article.
Pass the article, Jeff.
Make a motion to adjourn.
You guys should have somebody here who knows PFAS, what it does, what its main objective do in its life cycle. To tell these people The state is gonna lower the limit, from what I've been hearing, to 5 parts per trillion to 10 parts.
Make a motion, we adjourn. Adjourn. Thank you for coming.
Congratulations, you won.
Thanks. I wish we could more people. I appreciate everyone showing up.